without technical difficulties. So it's good that if you can hear my voice, my video is not working for some reason right now. So maybe we'll get that going again. But I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone. It's good to see everyone here again today, and looks like we have a packed agenda. So I will go ahead and get right to it. Thank you to all of our special guests that are here today. And if you are new to this meeting, it'd be great if you could drop your name and where you're from in the chat so we can all get to know you a little bit better. I do want to recognize a new board member. We have Veronica Lopez. Veronica is the regional HR business partner operations manager for DART Container Corporation. So it's great to have another partner from Horse Cave, Hart County. So thank you for being here. And
Thank you.
as a housekeeping note, just remind all of our board members that have Zoomed in remotely to keep your cameras turned on if you're able to for the meeting. And it's helpful for me and Deronda is if you do make a motion or second, if you state your name before you make that motion or second, we'd appreciate that. So I'll turn it over to John for his opening remarks. Thank you, John.
All right. Thank you, Madam Board Chair. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's good to see everybody and be able to convene with you and give you an update on a lot of the good work that we're doing. As mentioned at our February board meeting, we are in the midst of one of the busiest springs that we've had in a number of years. Besides our daily activities to serve employers and job seekers across the region, we've been in the process of updating our 4-year local and regional plan, recertifying our Kentucky Career Center, recertifying our board, updating our memorandum of understanding and infrastructure funding agreement with the state, seeking proposals for fiscal agent services, and much more. The good news is that we're on top of all these actions, and we're going to provide some updates on several of these this morning. Our April board meeting traditionally is when we focus on strategic goal number 1, which is actively engage employers and drive innovation or innovative workforce solutions across the region. When we get to the strategic goals portion of the agenda today, we're going to spend most of our time on that particular strategic goal, but we'll touch on several, all goals, but we'll emphasize our support to employers this month for this board meeting. So with that, my remarks are complete, and I will turn it back over to our board chair. Oh, okay. I've got 2 introductions. So the first is Alexa Hatcher. She is our new American Workforce Navigator, and Alexa is in her 2nd week with us. So we've been gapped in this position for a little while, so we're really excited to have her join the team and continue to serve. And then I would like to also take a moment to introduce Michelle Harris. She is in from Chicago. Many of you are familiar with Hollid. He's been a familiar face for us, and he's Hollid and National Label have been our fiscal agent since 2018. Hollid has taken a new role with a different nonprofit after many years at National Label. And then Michelle was with National Label for a number of years, went off into the private sector, and then was recruited back to National Label. And she's now the Chief Financial Officer and will be taking over the fiscal agent contract. And she came here in person today to deliver the financial report. So Michelle, welcome. We're really excited to work with you. Okay, now I will turn it back over to our board chair.
Welcome, Alexa and Michelle. It's great to have you with us. Our first order of business is to approve the February 13th board minutes. Board members should have received, read and reviewed those minutes. Are there any comments or questions regarding the minutes? And if not, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
I'll second.
Who was our first and second?
Sorry, Mike Carter.
Teresa Hayes.
Okay, Mike first and Teresa second. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we have the executive committee updates from March 13th. Okay, I guess you see on the screen there. Thank you, Brian. The executive committee approved a one-year extension of the lease for the office space there at WKU South Campus. The board is leasing that space for $18 a square foot, and that equals to $50,778 per year. Next up, John proposed a change to the board's healthcare coverage policy. And after a detailed discussion, the executive committee approved a change for the healthcare contributions. So they will now go from 100% employer paid to the South Central Workforce Development Board contributes up to $15,000 per employee per year for healthcare. So the employees will be responsible for any difference in the cost based on whatever plan they choose. No changes made to dental and vision coverage. They both remain paid by
It's our
the
sound that went out. I can.
employee. And the executive committee also agreed to a motion that the employees may purchase short-term disability coverage at their own expense. Okay, next up, John then provided updates regarding the local and regional plan rewrite, the search for a new American Navigator, upcoming hiring events, progress on the fiscal agent request for proposal, and the Goodwill Opportunity Center. And then last, John updated the executive committee on several grant applications that are going on and proposals. Any questions on the executive committee report? All right. I'll turn it back over to John.
Okay, thank you. So next agenda item is to discuss renewal of the WIOA Direct Services contract. Earlier this year, we conducted a mid-year review of the contract, and we presented those results at our February 13th board meeting. And largely what came out of the mid-year review is we were very, very happy with the work that Career Team is doing. However, there were a couple of things that we wanted to see. And those were specifically, we wanted to get a customer experience feedback survey launched, a business services customer feedback survey launched, and see implementation of a plan to ensure that there's consistent coverage at the Kentucky Career Center. So I'm happy to report all those things have happened. Brian, I think there may be a bill here.
Okay.
Yeah, so Career Team has met all those conditions. If you would like to go forward one, I am going to recommend that we renew the contract. Let's build one more or go one more. And just to give you a quick look, I mean, this is a screenshot of the customer feedback survey results. This doesn't represent all the questions on the survey, but we're gathering customer feedback through a Google survey form and getting those results consolidated, build one more, same with the business services. So with that, let's build one more, so my request this morning would be that we renew the contract for 1 year. Just as a quick reminder, the original contract was a 1-year contract with option to renew up to 4 years. And so this would be a matter of renewing into the new year, with the new year beginning July 1st and running through June 30th of 2026. So that's my request to the board.
Okay. As you just heard, John recommended that we extend that WIOA Direct Services contract with Career Team for one more year. So do we have a motion to approve?
This is Teresa. I would like to make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there a second?
This is Amy. I second.
Thank you, Amy. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you all. Next up, we have the RFP update for fiscal agent contract. Go over to John.
Okay, thank you again. So just another quick update, just as background, the fiscal agent RFP process primarily runs through our local elected officials, so it runs through, you know, all the judge executives, so. You know, you can see, we submitted or published a, request for proposal back on March 1st. On the right side of that slide is a timeline, and so we, you know, we had a deadline for questions to come in. We actually fielded a number of questions, answered those questions. All questions were posted, and all questions and answers have been posted on our website. And this Friday is the due date for all proposals to come in. And then you can see the remaining parts of the timeline. We will convene a review panel on April 30th that will be comprised of 4 judge executives and at least 1 member from our board. And, you know, there's basically a criteria sheet, scoring sheet, and that review panel will go through a process of selecting the company that will pick up our fiscal agent contract starting July 1st. Let's build one. And one more. Okay, one more. Yeah, I think I've got it all. So we've received 1 bid to date, and then and I know National Agency is on the way as well. But again, the deadline will be this Friday, and then we'll move the process forward. So pending any questions, that's the brief update on the fiscal agent RFP. All right, Brian. All right, Miss Michelle, we're going to turn it over to you.
We'll say that almost looks like me.
That's nice. That is another Michelle Harris. Hey,
That's pretty funny.
Rhonda helped me with it, so I had never seen her before. Sorry. She's in person, so.
I love it. Thank you for the effort. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, hold on. You guys searched.
We searched the Google.
You know.
The Google produced several Michelle Harris's out of Chicago.
That was very close. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how to proceed from that.
I'm blushing and it wasn't even my picture.
All right, you guys, so this is my 3rd week with National Able. So as John mentioned, I am back as the CFO. I worked with Able for about 7 years altogether. So I also helped with the Kentucky agreement when I was there initially. So I'm very familiar. Just to walk through the financials, this presentation is for the period ending March 31st. You can see the total budget annual revenues are $3,093,000 against the year-to-date budget of 2.3. Our actual revenues actualized at 2.173, leaving a difference of 140. Thank you for following along. Leaving a difference of 146,000. All right. Move on to the expenses. The total budget expenses were 3.93 as well. Year-to-date expenses are 2.3. And we actualized at 2,173, leaving a variance of 147. The main objective here is to make sure that we fully maximize the agreements that we have, the contracts, which we do a pretty good job of making sure that on the bottom, there's no deficit for these contracts. So the financial activities are all on track at this point.
Oh, this is the only one that I.
Oh, the only one?
Yeah,
Perfect.
they have the other materials.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, that concludes the financial presentation.
Thank you, Michelle. Does anyone have any questions on the financial report? If not, is there a motion to approve?
This is Tori. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Tori. Is there a second?
This is Rebecca. I'll second.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. And next up, we have our strategic goals.
We are cruising. Brian, is this me coming up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so yeah, we are moving right along on this meeting. So So as usual, we're gonna start with, for the strategic goal section, we're gonna start with the aspirational goals. These are the kind of the big bold ideas that, we're shooting for this year. The first, of these is to implement a regional business services committee. That's at least what we called it at the beginning of the year. And this is actually progressing quite nicely. What we're calling this, locally is our statewide workforce and talent team, hyphen South Central team. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in detail in a minute, but this one's moving along pretty well. And then the next one is, negotiate a future location for the Bowling Green Kentucky Career Center. Shockingly, the building flooded again in those April rains of a couple of weeks ago. So it's already flooded twice this year. And it was remodeled after the first flood from February. The remodel was complete about 48 hours or so, and then it flooded again. Due to rain. So,
Or you could look at it as it got fixed before it flooded.
yeah. So anyway, if we can pull it off, with the help of my good friend Chad Spencer and Goodwill, when they build out their opportunity center, we're gonna do our best to negotiate moving the whole operation.
Rebecca or John, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear John. I can't hear the board.
I can hear you, Chad. It's Amy.
Huh, we can't hear Brian.
Yeah, I can't, this is Kim Myers. I can hear all of this and I can hear someone, but I'm not hearing the meeting either.
Hey
Yeah,
everyone,
this is
it's
John.
Deronda.
Looks like,
They're working on it.
yeah, thanks.
I vote to say it's Brian's fault.
Absolutely, Chad.
I second that.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
All right, everyone, they believe it's a Wi-Fi issue, so they're refreshing the Wi-Fi. If you'll give them just a moment.
Thank you.
Like we're muted. I'm sure we're unmuted too.
That's what happened. This never happens in our Monday meetings, does it?
Blueberries.
I think we can hear you all again. We're hearing blueberries.
Oh, they hear the word blueberries first.
Okay, they hear it. Blueberries turned everything on.
That was the code word. Yeah, now my system is pointing to that microphone. So I was reading.
You're not. Played it bow.
Okay. Let me screen share. Are you guys seeing the screen?
On your voice.
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna pick right up where we left off. Glitch in the matrix.
Thanks for your patience.
Yes. Okay. Goal number one. Now our room doesn't want to work. With our business service engagements, I have no idea what's going on here. Nothing. I've changed, literally moved nothing, and
Well,
that's gone out.
it's still being, the slide's still being displayed.
Yeah, so Jessica, I think you'll have to do it on your thing so we can make that projector work, since this one all of a sudden doesn't want to. So I'll go through this. So business service engagements and our key performance indicators. This is all of the goals that we have for the year. You can see our year-to-date progress on these. So we're about where we want to be on each of these, and we did have 2 rapid response services there in the bottom left with 150 individuals that we were able to reach. We do have 2 Your Turn internships. These are the Fort Campbell transitioning soldiers or that are in the process of transitioning out of the military that are placed with 2 employers in our region. And then as John had mentioned about the employer satisfaction survey results that Career Team is collecting, there's several indicators that we're measuring, but I just put one here as far as they're very satisfied, 98% with the level of service, so nearly 100% there. Any questions about what we're trying to capture here, our year-to-date results? Because we wanted to start having a conversation next on what we're seeing in the workforce. But I'll pause. So you're seeing that we have 19 hiring events, and we're counting the 12 or so that happen almost weekly at the Kentucky Career Center. And some that are organized that are bigger that our team has put on, and you'll hear some updates on those. But we just wanted to have a conversation and tell you what we're observing, and then there's some data to back up our observations. So it appears that things there's been a bit of a hiring slowdown, and you ask our team and they'll say they started to experience this last summer. And through the fall, we typically experience it by late in the year and into the beginning of the next year, just with the holidays. So typically about November and December, and then things start to kind of pick back up in January, hiring and things like that. Sometimes the companies with their budgets, things are spending out and pick back up again. But there's just been a ton of news reports and economic uncertainty that's out there. So I grabbed a couple of headlines. Job report shows, this is from February, companies are acting like they're in a recession. And onto the job seeker side or people moving in the market, just fear of unemployment. This is from this week, jumps to its highest level since before the pandemic. So, there's just not really tangible things, but this intangible, just attitude, feeling, sentiment that's out there. Also just what we're seeing as far as the KCC, so the Kentucky Career Center, for you guys taking notes at home, with our walk-in demographics for the first 3 months of the year, 72% of the reason for the visit was unemployment insurance activities, which is not that uncommon, but the needle was starting to move to just, I'm here for a job, and not as much the UI reasons. And it's remained high with UI and they're just inundated on a regular basis. That the majority of the people coming into our public workforce system, open to the public building, are there for unemployment insurance assistance and claims and questions and problems and all of those sorts of things that they have. Also, just we've seen open jobs decline. So we have access to a database that is often touted in the region as far as the number of job openings that there are. So this is a little bit hard to see, but it does try to show the trajectory of the last 6 months. That blue line indicates the last 6 months, and the gray was the year before 6 months over the same span of time. So you can see where November 11th, that was charting about 8,800 open jobs. This is jobs that were active and listed that were out there that this database system, Jobs EQ, can scrape up. But you can see by the end of March, that had dropped by 4,000 jobs to 4,797. And so just to be clear, this is within our 10 counties only. Some of you guys might be more familiar with the report that the Bowling Green Chamber puts out. That captures a 60-mile radius. So that's going to catch, outside of our service area, especially as you go below Simpson County and Allen County into northern Tennessee. But again, it kind of dipped down a little bit last year, but now it has gone from being higher than it was over that time span the year before in 2023 to going now below where it was. So this is where the sentiment becomes reality, and that there is just less, or there are just less jobs that we're seeing that are open. And then we're just seeing less employer involvement in our events, it feels like. And so the proof that we have of that is just these are the hiring events that we have done, and then a couple that are planned to happen. So you can see we try to track, and we've been tracking this for several years. We don't often report it, but the number of employers that we invite to events. So we'll report how many came to an event, but we've been wanting to know how much we're out there trying to, recruit companies for events. So our face-to-face event, which happens in March, it was a month ago, right next door to where we're sitting here at our South Campus. It was at the Nicely Center. Wonderful turnout. We'll have a report on that Jake will provide. But out of 200 some odd companies that we tried to go after, we had 10 that came. And so we also, on the other hand, had a rapid response activity as part of the multifaceted response that we'll do, that our team organizes. We'll try to do a job fair just for those affected employees. And so there was a pretty good appetite from especially manufacturers for people that had experience in manufacturing. So 25 were invited, 9 participated. So way less invitations, very specific outreach that happened, and pretty good involvement there. But again, the target audience was different. And then Logan County Jail, there's been some events held there, and you can see a little bit of traction there. But we have a Ready, Set, Hire event that this will be the second year for graduating high school seniors in our region that we will do on Tuesday at Cave City. And we have had at least 90 employers that we've invited. And I just had one sign up, I think overnight or this morning. So bump that number to 13, but it has still remained a real struggle. Likewise, the Bowling Green Area Chamber of Commerce has for many years organized a graduating high school senior event called SEK Launch, Senior Hiring Event Fair, and they have had over 30 invitations sent out, and they've had the lowest number of employer participation for that event this year. So they've struggled to get the 18 that they have. So again, this is where the intangible becomes a little bit more tangible with how we're saying, and it's not just employers aren't hiring. Some of these have been date conflicts, but the majority of the invites versus participants, the reason why they're not participating is unknown because they're just not responding to us. So we're making some assumptions that they're not hiring or they're not interested, but we truly don't know.
Let me ask that question in the room.
Yeah, you can absolutely ask that question in the room and the online room.
I mean, it could be multiple things. Date conflicts, that to me, that just means priorities. It's not a priority because you can get around a date conflict if it's a priority for you. But I'm thinking, Teresa, so Logan, what's the ROI? Is there ROI in these events now? Or is it we're not hiring the people that show up to these? We don't need entry level, which is what most of this is.
No, we're mostly, we have our individual hiring events because it has testing that goes with it. So usually candidates want to come one time and do the testing at the same time. So we're usually doing the events that way. So that would be our exact reason for not participating in very many of these. I think we did the Logan County Jail one. And I don't think we've done, we may be one of the 18 for the SCK launch. I think we're involved in that one.
So that's Logan, that's extremely established and has their own hiring practices that requires individual assessments, which makes sense. And then the other question would be what sectors are represented in the participated column? Healthcare and construction?
That has been, as you've seen, for the Ready Set Hire, where we have seen the most. But with face-to-face, Jake, what would you say was the representation there?
Manufacturing, distribution, healthcare, and construction.
And it's not that they're bad events. You can go back to the surveys and see that like everybody, for the most part, thought that the events were valuable. They got to talk to a lot of job seekers. And we found that even like some of the employers at those events, they'll come to the event, they'll advertise a position, but then in reality, they don't have any positions to hire for. So they're attending hiring events without having positions.
It's like inflated Indeed.
Yeah.
Which happens every day, right?
Yeah.
So they inflate Indeed in person. Is what that is. So
Just to add one more thing on the Ready Set Hire that's in Cave City. For our company in particular, that's pretty far away. Because we barely even attract very many people from Warren County. We're more Todd, Dielenberg, Butler, Logan. So we don't want to go up there and then, have to deal with the travel part of it. So that's the other angle, just as a add.
Yeah. Anybody online want to chime in with anything? The question was employer feedback on, is this the reality you're experiencing as well? Just sort of a hiring freeze or more limited activities related to hiring than what you normally have seen.
This is Veronica with DART. We've slowed down in hiring, but also have increased very focused activities throughout the year. We're doing a number of events directly with the schools. We've participated in the Ready Set Hire event before, I believe last year. Chose not this year just because we had several schools that we've been entertaining as well.
Sure. Okay, thank you. So Justin mentioned inflated Indeed. So we wanted to talk about that for a little bit. So Jobs EQ, that was the system that I showed a couple of slides ago that I'm just gonna talk about it. It's grabbing websites, it's grabbing URLs, it's looking for job posts, and it's mostly looking at Indeed, but it could look at company websites as well. And so it's kind of doing this web scraping and it's making data and compilations based on all of that, right? We have often got a report. Bill Sandel's on the call, and he has access to statewide, this information, but he runs it for our region and provides a report. So those of us, a lot of frontline employment services staff, so with the Kentucky Career Center, career team, many other stakeholders get this report each week of the actual job listings, right? So the URLs that you can go click on. And what we found often is that when you click on those URLs, they're dead ends, or this says jobs no longer active, no longer valid or available. So we were able to figure out with Python coding and ChatGPT how to make it scrape deeper and do all of that. And it takes it a couple of hours, so it reduces that data down. So it's basically from the last week report that Bill had provided, there were some 4,300 jobs URLs listed. After we ran the controls to check, it got it down to about 3,500. But this was looking at anything that was active. And so it turns out almost a third of the jobs that are posted online were posted before 2025. Some go back as far as 2016. And so in some cases, you can see this when you go on a website and it'll say when it got posted. Most times you can't. So this system knows. So Lowe's, for example, has been looking for a cashier since 2016, and that's because they're always hiring cashiers, right? And so there's those kind of jobs that just hang out there perpetually. I don't know that we want to use the word ghost jobs, but they're not real because they look very real. But what we're saying is this is just a little bit, a deeper level analysis of the open jobs to find out what the market is doing. And so again, this is the best data that we have available. There's no error on the way the system works, other than a lot of these, job leads can go dead within a day. It's just kind of the market, right? It's like we found a puppy yesterday, but another dog got lost today, right? And that's just kind of the way that the market works with job openings. But the best that we can do at any one time is capture and say at the moment how many job openings there appear to be. But we can also see there's quite a bit of fluff. There's quite a bit of jobs that are travel jobs. Also, especially with healthcare, there's quite a bit of CDL. They're going to pull people out of our region. But again, we are estimating, at least in our 10-county area, there's about 3,500 jobs that are available for local residents at local places. So I wanted to pause there.
I think just going back to that Lowe's example. I mean, so almost a third of the companies just keep job posted all the time, which is fine. I mean, because they're probably high turnover entry level jobs, but that means a couple of things. One, open jobs report will never get to zero, and two, even though they're posting them, even though Lowe's is posting for cashiers, around the clock, today they might not need any, but the applications might still come in, and tomorrow they might need one, right? So, when you talk to, we know there's a lot of job seeker frustration with applying for jobs online and not getting response, not getting hits, not getting any feedback, not getting any calls, and some of that might speak to the way these systems are set up. So an open job is not necessarily an open job. It depends on the day.
Yeah. So again, any other discussion, reaction to this? Because we got into this a little bit in February, a little bit about, just the change in presidents and the threat of the word tariffs. Tariffs, we don't know how much that's impacting this, right? So we don't want to go on record saying that, but in total, there's just seems to be less for us to work with and less that are available for the moment. But most people you talk to, our economic development partners at the Bowling Green Chamber and other places have said they just expect this as a temporary, thing going on. And there are headlines about that too. It's a wait and see, just attitude in the market. So. All right, well, we'll move on to other updates. We just wanted to be transparent and tell you guys what we're seeing there. This is John to give an update on that slide.
All right, so forgive the busy slide. So a moment ago when I talked about the aspirational goals and I talked about the convening a regional business team, just a little bit more background on that. So back in December on the 4th and 5th, there was a meeting that was convened in Lexington, and it was called the Statewide Workforce and Talent Team. And it was convened for the very first time, and you can kind of see there on the right where the governor he was all about this. He was the primary speaker at this event, and down below you can see all the different cabinet secretaries that work for him. And the gist of this idea, and it's a really simple idea, and you're in 2025 going like, why are we just thinking of this? But it's getting all these different cabinet folks to better communicate at the cabinet level about major economic development initiatives that are coming into the state. And not only at the cabinet level, but also down to the local level. And so if you look there at the different cabinets involved, we're talking about the Economic Development Cabinet, the Labor Cabinet, KCTCS, our post-secondary folks, Kentucky Chamber. And it's just trying to, create a kind of a unified approach to communicating when major economic development projects come into the state and being able to better deliver services to those employers as they come in. We had a very strong presence from South Central there. We had representation. Dr. Myers was there from Sky CTC, Chad Spencer from Goodwill. We had a number of our KCC Kentucky Career Center staff there. And over the course of 2 days, we had 2 breakout sessions as a South Central region, and we were all very aligned. I think we were all very excited about this concept. And at that meeting, we committed to bringing this concept back here and meeting regularly. So we've actually met 4 times to date. The 4th meeting was just a couple days ago. And then also a couple of days ago, there was a statewide call to update on this. And Dr. Myers did a great job of representing South Central and talking about what we've been doing down here to just to increase our communication and crosstalk. Can we go forward a slide? Are we having
Now that computer wants to shut down in 5 minutes, so
Oh, yeah.
we're just gonna see how this goes.
All right, so I'm going to speed this thing up. So what we've done locally is we've come up with a mission statement, and we've come up with 4 goals for this group. These are not the same as our 4 strategic goals that we have as a board, but those 4 goals really identify and communicate employer needs. And we've been working really hard to develop a common employer needs assessment. We want to enhance communication and collaboration, strengthen workforce and education alignment, and support employer engagement and workforce development. So if we go forward one more slide, you can see there on the left the local team, all the different organizations that are represented on our local team. We may end up adding a few more organizations as we go, but that's been the core team so far. And in the middle is an example of a meeting agenda where as we complete common employer needs assessments, whoever in the group does a needs assessment and brings it back to the group, and we share like, hey, this is what's going on with this employer. This is what they've asked about. This is where they need help. We have a discussion on, hey, are there any new economic development announcements? Are there any closures that everybody needs to know about? We review any upcoming hiring events. Out of this last meeting, we realized we needed to have a better conversation about work-based learning programs, who has internships and apprenticeships, and then kind of just any other general announcements. And there on the right is, and you can't see it very well, but that's an example of the common needs assessment that I'd say it's pretty well developed, but I mean, every time we're still refining this a little bit. We're learning as we go, and we, out of this, as we started to deploy this, we realized there were some things we needed to do to make this form a little bit better. So it's been a work in progress. So we're excited about this. We're excited, to convene these meetings and play our part. And we want to be able to better serve our employers across the region. And we've got to do that with our partners, because all of those partners that are part of the team also do business engagement, and they may be having meetings and discussions that we're not in, and we've just got to share that information as best we can. So any questions about this? Okay, awesome. We'll move forward, please.
All right, Jake, I'll have you stand here
Sure.
at the end of the table so they can see you.
Sure.
Online. Go.
All right, everybody. So I'll try to get this into the wire before we're sent into the ether, but looks like about 3 minutes. So I'll just take a couple minutes of your time. Last board meeting, we updated you guys on the 2025 hiring event schedule. I wanted to provide a little bit more clarity on that schedule as we had new dates pop up for the rest of the year for our face-to-face events. It's okay. I can use my computer. I've got it.
Did we lose connection altogether?
No, it wants to update.
Restart.
It didn't really give Jessica an option to cancel it.
Are we still online?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they can still hear us.
Jay, go ahead.
I'll try to remember.
Yes, you are still online, and yes, we can still hear you.
So I'll stand here because I got some notes on the thing. So in the March face-to-face event, I'll update you guys very quickly on how that event went. We did have 379 job seekers, so obviously a very great turnout from job seekers for Warren County and some of the surrounding counties that we have. Traditionally, we do see a lot of new Americans for that job. And so we did have about half of the job seekers who attended that event were new Americans. So again, very engaging population in our community that we really want to target and make sure get jobs. So we were really pleased with that turnout. As we saw on the screen, there were 10 companies that attended. We had great distribution of sectors. Healthcare, manufacturing, distribution, construction were all there represented. So we were pleased with that as well. We did it over the Nicely Center. That's a new location that we've not used in the past. Really great location, lots of great space, really was able to accommodate lots of job seekers who actually were there before Leslie and I even arrived. I think we got there at maybe 8:30 for a 10 a.m. start, and there were already 45 people in the lobby. So yeah, I mean, a great turnout. We also used Airtable for this event. Leslie was able to implement that. As you'll see on the screen, so many job seekers were there. We wanted to make sure that we didn't have logistics bog us down. So we were able to use QR codes, have individuals sign up prior to the event so that we could have some understanding of who they were, what they were looking for, and able to connect them to the right company. So we were hoping that would lead to better success. So we were really pleased with that as well. And one change from last year that we want to inform the board on, so that we're trying to improve our data engagement from these events. We last year would wait about 1 week before we would contact employers and say, hey, how did the turnout go? Who did you hire? Who did you interview? We're actually now waiting a month for that because employers know it's hard to get through 379 people from one event in 1 week. So within a month, we're hoping that they'll have more clarity on who they were looking at, who they were targeting, and so that we can improve our data engagement. So when we talk to you guys about what the outcomes were, we're hoping to have stronger understanding of what that is and a better picture. So really quickly, I will update you guys just briefly on the upcoming events for this year. As Brian mentioned, we've got Ready, Set, Hire coming up next week. We'll also have 3 other face-to-face events. June 17th will be the one we do in Butler County. We are working with Amy Smith-Thomas, who's obviously great. She knows every single person in Butler County. So she's a person to work with there. She really gets a lot of good turnout from the people that need jobs there. So of course, we're going to work with her. She's great. September 16th will be the one in Barron County. We always work with the Hero Center for that event, so we have a space already ready to go. We work with Jennifer Bannister at Hero, and she's obviously great too. She's been working with us for 3 years, so we'll have good turnout there. And then we're going to do November for Simpson County, and we work with Live the Proof, which is another nonprofit organization there, and they have a great space available too. So those are the upcoming events. If you're an employer or if you know anybody that's interested in getting a job, please send them our way, and we'll love to connect them to these events.
All right, thank you, Jake. All right, we'll jump into updates on strategic goal number 2. This is traditionally the one where we've focused on our students and trying to align education and career pathways. So you can see again, just our year to date with just the 16 to 24-year-old outreach that we're doing, which also has the name Opportunity Youth. So you can see with the events, the people engaged, the number that receive career services, a lot of that's happened in group settings. And then the direct referrals to job seekers, direct job seeker referrals to employers. That's starting to take more shape and the amount of placements that we have. So we have a new incentive that's available that we also want to talk about. But I think before we let Shannon talk about that, John, did you want to talk here?
Yeah, just a quick update. So in June, we're really going to focus on strategic goal number 2 and focus on this more fully. But we are right now in the very, very busy trying to work with youth. So just as a kind of refresher for everybody, last year we received funding from the Kentucky General Assembly to serve Opportunity Youth. Opportunity Youth is defined as or disconnected youth, that's used interchangeably, but it's defined as 16 to 24-year-olds who are neither working nor in school. And so as a local board, we received a little under 500,000, about 476,000 be specific over the 2-year period. And our goal that we committed to was getting 500 youth employed. And so the approach that we've taken, hire staff because we know that for somebody to get a job, there's a lot of hand holding that has to go on, particularly with this demographic. They need a lot of help getting into the workforce. So we've hired staff. We put some money into some infrastructure. We invested in the texting platform, and that's kind of our primary communication platform with these youth. And if you're paying attention to our social media, there's a lot going on there with trying to communicate via social media. And then we've got money in this pot of money. We can fund low cost training and credential opportunities, provide supportive service, and or provide retention incentives, which we're going to talk more about in a second. There at the bottom is just kind of a brief timeline over the 2 years. Those dashed lines kind of represent the spring of each year. The spring is prime time. This is what we're trying to do. What we're working really hard to do is to integrate ourselves into as many high schools as we can, become known assets, and to the career and college coaches, to the students, and offer our services up. Because we know that particularly once the high school seniors graduate, they become much harder to find and engage. So we want to get on their radar well before they graduate, so that once they do graduate, we can continue to stay in touch with them, communicate with them primarily through text, and provide any assistance we can to employment. We have, as of last night, we've got 181 students enrolled, and that's increased by about 100 in the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's really starting to take off right now. 15 employed, so we're a little behind where I'd like us to be on the employed. But the key is, in the next month, we've got to get 200, 300, 400 kids enrolled, because again, that becomes how we student them. They don't necessarily have to go to work right away. It's their choice what to do with the summer, but we want to have the means to stay in communication with them and stay connected with them through the summer and provide that assistance. So, and then the last thing I'll just say is, as we got this money and we put this in place, you can go forward one, Brian. We knew it's a 2-year deal with thanks to Myra's assistance. I mean, there's a strong possibility there'll be a continuation of this funding when the Kentucky General Assembly convenes again to work on the next budget cycle. But last June we presented this, and we have been following this plan very closely. But we knew in year one is always slow. We kind of piloted this concept a couple of years ago when Matt was on our team. Year one is all about building relationships at the schools, building trust, and then once you do that, year two kind of takes off like a rocket. And so year one has kind of been slow in that regard, but Shannon, who I'll turn it over to next, is calling in from Warren East. She's going to be there all day with Laura, because they're serving students there today. Yesterday they were at Warren Central, but they have been all over the region the last couple of weeks in a lot of high schools. So with that, let's turn that over to Shannon.
I just said one thing. If you have legislators that everyone, this is Myra, and thank you so much for being attentive through all this. It's difficult. I know it's hard. We've had technical difficulties too in my area. But if you have legislators that please thank them for this money. We are going to try to get the money again, and we're starting testimonies next month. So please continue to thank those legislators for the money. We would really appreciate it.
For those that don't know Myra, she is the executive director of the Cumberlands region, and I tease her all the time that she's actually a lobbyist, because she led the charge to get this money from the legislators. They trust her implicitly. They ask her to be in Frankfort all the time. They ask her for updates all the time. So as one of 10 workforce directors in the state, she's really one of the leaders on this initiative, and we wouldn't have gotten this money without the good work that Myra did.
Max, could we maybe get a summary of exactly what you might want us to say?
Yes, I have some scripts.
Okay. We do have a lobbyist, and we have some people we regularly meet with, so I'd love to do that.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for that offer.
Yeah.
Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. So I am Shannon Gotke. I've been in this position since July of last year. And I think, as John mentioned, I think the first year of any program, a lot of effort goes toward that relationship building. And we have been very successful in gaining inroads into the high schools. That, obviously is our best source of contacting youth face to face. But also with the help of our social media campaigns that were designed by Leslie Whitty, we have increased our contact with those youth between 16 and 24 who are no longer in the education field. They've already graduated from high school. For one reason or another, they might not be working, but the social media has helped. And also, as always, with everything we do, we depend a lot on our community partners. So we have worked closely with several community partners and just keep building those relationships. I think that the counselors that we've spoken with and interacted with in the high schools have definitely seen the value of the program, and they have. I've seen a big increase in excitement among them about getting their students involved. John mentioned and Brian mentioned the incentive bonus, and as you can see here, it is something to incentivize the youth to give themselves a chance to succeed in that job that they get. We are trying to it's a twofold thing, trying to decrease the job hopping and encourage those students to build a stronger work ethic, and also to let the employers know that we're doing what we can to keep their employees loyal to them. So the youth, of course, get excited by the dollar signs. And we've seen a lot of interest in that, but it is the way that it is structured is that once a youth is enrolled in the program, they gain employment. If they work 20, I think it's an average of 24 hours or 20 hours a week at the end of 90 days with that employer, based on a good work history and verification from the employer, we can pay them a $250 bonus for a part-time job. And if they have worked an average of 36 hours a week, we can pay them $500 at the end of that 90 days. So that's exciting for them, and it's exciting for us to see the growing interest in the program. Brian and John, have I left anything out?
No, so the flyer, the incentive for the youth in that age category is to the left. The flyer for you all is the bottom right. We need your help. So surely, 3 people looking for a job that might be in that age range, or you've got family members, neighbors, nephews, what have you. So we can provide employment services. Shannon and Laura are set up to assist them and to help them locate a job. But if they already think they have a job lined up, again, to encourage the retention, they can sign up just to get in on that retention bonus. So don't think of it as somebody who, but they can't be working now. So it can't be somebody who's working and then is going to get another job for the summer, or says, I hate where I'm at and I want to quit. I want to get $500 to go, we're not encouraging job hopping, like John said, it's to the retention. So.
Right. And Brian, I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce Laura and say that she has been, she's brought her normal energy to the program, and she's been tremendous value. So thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate the kind words. It's wonderful working with you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, we better move on, or else Laura is going to say, okay, who's signing up? Who's getting, give me 3 names each of you, right? I don't want to put Laura on the spot. She's got to think about helping the kids here in a little bit, but yeah, they are about to go on site to help with resumes and prepping several students for the job fairs that are coming up here. So for the graduating seniors.
And Brian, if I could add, I know telling people face to face is the most valuable, way to bring people in. The easiest thing to do is go to our Facebook page, find that flyer. It was posted a day or 2 ago, and just share it. That will hit all of your Facebook friends. I can't stress enough the power of shares. We've got 52 just on the original post, plus shares in all these Spotted in Bowling Green, Hip Franklin. I mean, I've posted it everywhere. So the power, I can't stress enough the power of sharing. If you don't mind to do that, it really does help.
And the flyer went on social media 2 days ago.
Mhm.
It's been shared at least 50 times that we know, or 52 times that we know, but we've also had a real uptick in application. I mean, it's, people are clicking and registering and signing up for it. So we've really
I
had
also-
surge in enrollments.
I also shared it with our tech school kids because a lot of them co-op and a lot of them, are working part-time and finishing up their senior year. So hopefully that will help you too, Shannon.
Thank you, Amy. We can always count on you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Brian, I had one question about this. This is Josh.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a great program. I'm really interested in this demographic. We have a hard time hiring this, just like everybody else does with this age group. One thing limits us in our industry is they have to be at least 18 years of age. But I think it would be great. You guys may be already doing this, but when these kids are being, coached or talked to, it'd be great information for employers to know, what is the primary motivation for this age group? I honestly, I don't know. Is it health insurance? Is it benefits? Is it pay? Is it flexibility? That information I think would be hugely vital to employers to know if that can be gathered. They may already be doing that. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. John looks like he wants to take this one.
Well, no, Josh, we've got a presentation just for you. So
Okay, good.
we've got a presentation on this topic, so we'd be happy
Okay.
to deliver that to you and anybody else in Monroe County or across the region. We've done this presentation or a variation of this presentation for over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll follow up with you. Definitely. Okay, we'll move along. Thank you for that question. So strategic goal 3, this is about increasing workforce participation by removing barriers to employment. So again, this hits several of our main focus populations, as we call them. So you can see there just the reporting of the engagement events, the individuals engaged, and those that are enrolled in training and being directly referred to companies. And so obviously our New American activities have been on pause for a while. We've had Laura supplementing and helping, and she'll continue to do that. But we do expect to be able to see people in a bigger volume and be able to get more placements there and pick that back up. You can see there with the military veterans, Fort Campbell's, there have been 2 people placed in internships with our goal of 8 for the year. But John consistently gets inquiries and processing soldiers through that process. And then with our justice involved, just a ton of activities that Brittany continues to do. And to brag on her for a minute, so Mike Updegraff, that was in her role until she was hired, he went to go work at Kentucky Adult Ed under Aaron Pointer, who left working from us to go do that. When I say us, I mean also with the Cumberlands. He had said that Brittany is really the model navigator for the state. So she and the Cumberlands have had these navigators for several years, but they are growing in every region about every couple of months. And so, she has set the gold standard on that. So it's interesting because every new staff member has to shadow her for, I think, the first 2 weeks because there's such activity going on, as you can see there in all of our counties. And to varying degrees, but in all of our jails as well. So a lot of people are being engaged in our jails, almost 200 year to date.
Also, just really quickly, we have more positive employment results this year than we had enrolled last year in PKO completely.
Yeah.
So
as a state, they had about 400, below 500 people enrolled, and now they've gotten just about that same number employed.
Yeah, 502 employees.
Across the state. So it is wildfire. It's amazing what happens when you get people out of the house. Yep. I mean, it kind of makes sense. People in jail can't come to the career center.
But you can turn a jail into a career center if you
Sure, hang on.
if you have a Brittany on your team.
Yep. So any questions about our activities going on there and our numbers? Is that'll conclude our report on that goal.
I give some kudos to to her as well. I've been to those reentry classes at the different jails, and the amount of energy that she brings, it's not just the energy, it's the I believe in you and you can do this type of energy that she brings to those men and women. And they trust her and will contact her upon release. And even better than that, she's connecting them with the correct resources that they need. So Brittany, yes, she is doing an awesome job. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there.
Ditto on what Chad Spencer just said, Mrs. Amy.
They're amazing.
Thank you for paying them.
Quite a bit.
All right, thank you for that feedback.
Yes. All right, so strategic goal 4 is about our return on investment, financial growth, and I'll let John give the update here.
All right, so I think we're doing pretty well for where we are in the year. The first two, I've still got some work to do. The fiscal compliance, that's our external audit. That won't happen until late summer. Improving financial sustainability at the very top, still a work in progress. I've got multiple grant applications in. We're still trying to secure funding for the New American position, but all those things are progressing. We just haven't gotten them across the finish line yet. There in the middle, programmatic compliance, we did very, very well on the state compliance monitoring that happened through February. Again, the contract performance, that mid-year review, that goal was met. Refining our KPI framework, we did that at the beginning of the year. And then everything at the bottom are works in progress that are moving along. And we'll talk about the local and regional plan here in a second. So let's go forward one. So just a couple general budget updates. On the left is kind of our current snapshot of the different funding streams. And I'm not putting dollar amounts on these, but what I'm trying to show is the different grants or contracts and kind of when they're, what's their shelf life. So our PY 24 WIOA funding, we've got that set up to, when we get that money, it's good for 2 years. We've gotten ourselves to where we spend it in about a 15-month period. And so we should exhaust through our PY 24 funds around the end of September. That's what we want. The EV battery grant, this was a statewide reserve grant that we got a little over a year ago. That is set to expire at the end of June. This is what this is. This is Jake Brown, who is one of our business services. This is where we share him with the Lincoln Trail, because we've got a huge Ford EV battery project up in the Lincoln Trail workforce area. And then we've got our own very large EV battery project down here. And so the gist of this grant was that Jake would be kind of that intermediary between both employers and help them meet their talent needs as they got their projects off the ground. New American Navigator grant funding, again, the current contract that we've got expires at the end of June. We've managed this money very, very well. And so even though the payments will stop coming in for it, we do have enough money kind of stockpiled to keep this alive through the end of the year, if not longer. Quest grant, again, that's the grant we've been using to do training specifically for rural youth and reentry individuals, and we have put a lot of people through that, and we've expended a lot of that money. That grant is actually good through 2026, but we are set to exhaust all of our funding by September. Kentucky Office of Refugee Resettlement grant, that's the grant that EASA is on. That grant does expire at the end of September. And then the last thing on the left is the Putting Kentuckians First contract. That contract is going very, very well. That's the one that Brittany, that we just talked about, Brittany. That's a 2-year contract that will expire in June of 26. So the updates kind of projected out. If we go back to WIOA, we did get our WIOA our PY 25 WIOA planning numbers in. And I'm not getting too excited about it, or too worked up about it, but right now those numbers are about 9% less than what we got last year. The reason I'm not getting too excited about it, because here's the deeper conversation is, the Department of Labor has not run those calculations and given the state an actual dollar amount. And that's because WIOA has not been reauthorized by Congress yet. And that's something that has to happen this year. And so what Department of Labor told Kentucky to do is, by law, you must get at least 90% of what you got last year. And so all the state's done is look at last year's numbers, and then they've given us 91% of what we got the previous year. So, so I mean, there's still a lot. I mean, there's going to be a lot that happens, and that those budget numbers that we've been given, I mean, we could plan off of them, but they are going to change, hopefully for the better. EV battery grant. Again, that does end at the end of June, but I'm actually in a conversation with Lincoln Trail about seeing if we want to continue this relationship, and if there's a way that they could, if they want to continue to co-fund part of Jake's position, because they love Jake. I don't know why, but they do. They think Jake is the bee's knees, and they've been very impressed with him. So we're talking about that. I don't know where that conversation will go, but I've planted that seed. New American Navigator, again, although the funding, the payments stop by this June, we do have a verbal commitment from both the city and the county. It's just, we're still going through the formal process. We think we're going to present to the fiscal court next week. We've already presented to the city commission and gotten the thumbs up from the city commission. We just have to go through the formal process of presenting to the fiscal court, and that should be, that should get us well on our way to, and get that funding continued. And what we've asked for is a slight increase in a 2-year commitment. So we're not going year to year. Quest grant, again, we're spending through that money quite quickly. But what I know is there's still a lot of Quest money with other workforce areas in the state, and there may be an opportunity if any workforce area is not spending quickly enough, or they don't think they can get it spent, that money can get reallocated to us. So I've planted that seed that I'm ready to take any additional Quest funding that may become available, and I'm going to just kind of beat that drum and see if we can pull in some more of that grant funding. Kentucky Office of Refugee Resettlement. What Brian has been told in meetings with the Kentucky Office of Refugees, that is there's strong potential to continue that grant as well. So even though it's set to expire in September, we think it may pick it. We've got a good shot at getting that continued. And then there at the very bottom, I've got 2 national dislocated worker grant applications that have been turned in, and these were for weather events that happened last year that resulted in FEMA disaster declarations. Combined, I've asked for $1.7 million. What's happened in the last couple of weeks is the Department of Labor's kind of kicked our grant application back. And when I say it's not just mine. There are other workforce areas that were impacted. They had some additional questions, so we're in the process of answering their questions. FEMA has not declared a disaster yet for these April floods that we just had, so there will be a third NDWG opportunity, but that only happens once FEMA makes the declares the disaster, and so when that happens, then we'll have an opportunity to apply for that money. And then, not to put Myra on the spot, but Myra and I have been in a conversation for well over a year about sharing Miss Jessica as a quality assurance person. So we've not gotten that across the finish line, but I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So, okay, those are just a few kind of budget updates and things that are going on that I wanted to bring to your awareness. All right.
All right, yeah, I just have a quick update on the strategic plan. So we presented on this last board meeting, and we are in that final stage of public comment. So it's on the back end now. I think it'll maybe go through next week, I want to say. maybe a week and a half left. So if you want to review it, if you haven't already, the total compiled document. Many of you guys were involved in that planning process. In fact, most of you were, and even some of you guys that are stakeholders on the call may have done a survey or participated in one of those groups. So we did establish new primary goals and our industry sectors and our focus populations. And so those were explained in the meetings, but we had 5 focus industries that the state tells us to pick, and they tell us to adopt theirs. Well, theirs aren't necessarily what are the hot jobs that we have, necessarily like our top 5 most in-demand sectors, but as far as what has the potential for the most growth, we adopted those. And we also made a slight adjustment on our focus population. So we've had this one kind of catch-all that was long-term unemployed. That was a category that was affecting folks, especially during the COVID recovery, and obviously during the COVID lockdowns and things like that. That's kind of defined as 26 weeks in a row, I believe, consistently now. And sometimes the definition is a little looser if you're unemployed over a period of weeks altogether. But we have identified in our data and labor market stuff that we have, I call them the X-Men, the Generation X males that are, underrepresented in the labor market. And so we're just saying 45 and up, that population, not necessarily just men, but what we see is that there's compounding factors: disability, lack of a high school education or diploma, and then the age factor, right? So it makes those things add up, and they were identified in our last strategic plan, but we are now adopting them as a focus population. And so we do have strong alignment with the state plan, and it's run through all of its checks just for that feedback that exists right now, to see if anybody else has anything to say, or they forever hold their peace. And then we are married to that strategic plan for the next 4 years. And the same goes for the Cumberland. So we did a joint regional plan with them as well. Any comments, questions about that?
I'm ready to get that thing done.
Yeah.
I say it's been a heavy lift, but it's been Brian and Leslie that have been doing all the heavy lifting. I just encourage them to lift harder, but it's been a lift.
Yeah, if you like the version that's out on public comment, you're gonna love what Leslie's cooking up. It's it's gonna be very much more graphically attuned. We dress it up. We go above and beyond than what just the state asks for, in the way we treat this. And as you guys know, I mean, we talk about this plan every board meeting, and we talk about it in our staff meetings. So it's a living document. It very much sets our direction. So. But yeah, we have a slight adjustment that'll have to happen with our meeting structure. So, the typical format is we unveil our goals and establish those goals, have you guys vote on them, our KPIs, our key performance indicators, the first board meeting of February. And then we kind of take the rest of the year to go through the other 4 strategic goals, and then have our year-end wrap up in December. And so now we're going to incorporate these goals, since we've got 5 instead of 4 that we will start with. We'll be trying to present these to you guys starting in June. So the next board meeting, we'll have that new one that we've not had before, workforce system alignment. So the format will be very similar, we think. We'll be asking for some feedback on changes on how we can present this information, but we'll highlight each of these as we go. But sometimes they'll each have specific focus that we do. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on how we plan to integrate that change. So any final questions or discussion? Anything from the public? Or any of I think we had Liz Worman was on at one point, but I can't see the attendees from my screen here. I don't know if we have anybody else, elected officials, that would like to say anything.
This is where Michelle and Alexa have to sing.
Yeah, that's right.
After what?
Michelle and Alexa have to close us out with our national anthem.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions or comments? Just such great discussion today. I appreciate everyone, your time and attendance. And before you know it, it will be June 12th and we'll be back together again. So thank you all very much. And this meeting is adjourned. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.